Good afternoon, everyone. This is Amanda Harper with OPWDD, the Assistant Statewide Care Manager Coordinator. Welcome to our information session today for both provider agencies and our CCO staff. Again, these are every second and fourth Wednesday of each month at noon. Our last session, session 5 on self-directed services, was recorded, and the materials and the recording are posted to our website. You can go to the link at the bottom of this slide to view those materials and other materials from previous sessions. Today is session 6. We're partnering with Tri-County to review the IAM assessment tool demonstration. Our next session, session 7, is going to be on May 22nd, and that is going to be a training on the staff action plan. We'll be partnering with a habilitation provider to provide a walkthrough from the life plan meeting through the life plan and staff action plan. So we look forward to doing that training. This is what we intend to do for the 22nd. This is always our wish list, and that we'll be confirming when that registration and topic is posted to our website. So please look out for that in the Care Coordination Advisory. Again, for these sessions, this one will be posted to the website at the link. The session that we're doing today will be recorded and with the materials posted to the link below. We did try something new today for these information sessions to distribute the materials ahead of time. They were included with this event, so we are going to keep working on trying to provide these materials as best we can so that you have them to review with the session. Due to the intensity of the information, this is, live material that we are updating right down to the minute. So, we will try to make them available ahead of time, but that's not something we can guarantee. There is a minor correction on the slides that were sent earlier, and that will be highlighted during today's presentation and corrected in the materials that will be posted to our website. Just to note, the questions and answers portion of the WebEx is where you'll put your questions. That the chat feature will not be viewed today. And as we have in other sessions, we just want to highlight that due to the intensity of the information and the assistance that we are trying to provide during this transition, these are very focused topics that the questions that you ask will be reviewed and with time allowed, answered at the end, but we really ask that you focus on the information. Hopefully a lot of your questions will be answered throughout the session, and anything that you have following the session that wasn't answered, please follow up with your organization's leadership. Today's session, as we said, is going to be on the IAM assessment tool. We have it listed as a demonstration, and a lot of those demonstration materials are going to be within the actual PowerPoint as a takeaway that Tri-County has done some screenshots to input some of the questions and views within the IAM. So most of the demonstration will be within this, and as time allows, we'll try to spend a little bit of time in the actual IAM tool. We just want to note that the IAM assessment, that today's demonstration, as we've said, is being done by Tri-County CCO, and this is done to assist stakeholders in understanding how the IAM tool informs the draft life plan as a starting point in the person-centered planning discussion. And we just want to highlight that CCOs might have different practices as far as how the care manager has been trained and is required to do this assessment with the people that you support. So if there's something that you hear today that you're not quite sure, that if it differs from something that you've heard within your CCO, please follow up with your CCO leadership. If you have questions specific to how you do certain things within the IAM, please follow up with your CCO leadership for further guidance on how your agency has chosen to move forward with that within the assessment tool. So without further ado, we're going to move to Tri-County, and I'm just going to step back for 1 second because I skipped over the piece of I just want to make sure that I highlight that the CCOs have chosen the IM assessment tool, that it wasn't something that was required by OPWDD, and that this is the piece that meets the required comprehensive assessment process with developing the life plan, and you can review the CCO policy manual that this is mentioned throughout as far as what those assessment requirements are. So I apologize for that. I skipped through that. So now, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Tri-County to go into our presentation.
Just bear with us one moment while we switch presenters.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? My name is Jafet Delyat. I'm the Director of Training and Education here at Tri-County Care. I want to thank Amanda and the OPWDD team and leadership for this opportunity to collaborate on this session for providers and CCOs, and I'm humbled and honored for the opportunity to present here today. So we're going to talk about how the IM assessment tool translates into the life plan. This tool is a very good tool. They say that you could even use it for your significant other. It could help, boost up your relationship with your significant other. It's beneficial for your relationship. So with that being said, it is a good tool to help improve the individual's overall life, socially, personally, and health-wise. It will improve that individual's life. So this assessment is a great tool to support the individual, and that's why it has been chosen to support these individuals. All right. The IM itself, it's a tool. We can't go through every single question through the assessment because that would take hours, and this is a lunch session. And so we picked certain aspects of the IM that is significant to the life plan, and we'll be discussing that. So with that being said, talking about gathering information for the IM assessment, typically the care manager would gather information from the individual themselves, who is the most important person, most important part of that plan team. They would gather information from family members, advocates, legal guardians, any major providers that will be implementing the plan for the individual, such as DAHAB or community rehabilitation. If the individual is in school, then they would gather information from the teachers, nurses or therapists who are involved in the individual's life. They could gather information from the prior ISP, behavior management plan, fire safety plan, et cetera. So the care manager could use many sources to gather information for the assessment. While it could be done over a 4-hour period, it could be done with gathering information from several people who are part of that plan team. What is required in the IM assessment? Well, there's the 2 POMs that are connected to at least 3 goals. Therefore, it has to be reflected in the assessment. When you're doing the assessment, you have to try to figure out what the individual wants for themselves. And so the assessment will not allow you to be complete, so it could go into life plan until these 2 POMs and 3 goal criteria is met. The plan also has to include the person's overall safeguards, because this is the life plan itself is the overarching document for the individual safeguards. The other component that must be included is the individual safety plan. It has to go into detail about the person's ability to call for help during an emergency and their ability to evacuate during an emergency, and we will cover that briefly at the end. Okay, so we're going to go to the next slide here. When is the IM assessment to be completed, and how much time would it be completed? Again, the IM assessment could be initiated at any point within 60 days prior to the life plan meeting. Here at Tri-County Care, our practice is within 30 days because things could change within a 60-day period. So the closer it is to the life plan meeting, the better. And so the policy says that it has to be initiated within 60 days prior to the meeting. The time to complete the assessment, again, may vary depending on the care manager, the CCO processes, et cetera. The assessment also can be completed in a meeting format, or again, like I said before, gathering information from various plan team members and documents. This would be determined by the availability and preference of the individual and their family and advocate. So if the individual wants certain folks to be included as part of the assessment, that is great, but it is strictly that individual's preference. As you know, for Willowbrook class members, CAB representation are required to be there during that process because they're the main advocates for those individuals. So how is the IM assessment deployed into the various capacities of communicating? Individuals that are able to express their wants and needs can communicate effectively to their care manager what they want to work on, what are their goals that they want to achieve within the next year. And so they're able to express all of those wants and needs to the care manager. And you could also get extra information from providers as well. For individuals who are unable to communicate their wants and needs and efficiently to the care manager, the care manager can collaborate with the people who are involved in that person's life, especially the plan team members, providers, because they know what this person likes to do. They know the different activities that they're already working on and that they enjoy and that they would like to continue to work on as part of their life plan to continue to provide that support to that individual. Why is an important question that I usually tell our care managers here at Tri-County Care. Is a very important question to ask when you're doing an IM assessment, especially when an individual is asking you or telling you that they want to work on a specific goal. For instance, I did a training and the care manager said, well, I'm not sure what to do about my individual because they said that they just want a dog. And I don't see, how we're going to create a goal out of, somebody wanting a dog. And I said, well, did you ask the person why? And they said, well, it's because this individual, they feel a lot better going out into the community when they have that dog. It helps the anxiety. And so they're more likely to go out when they have that pet. And if they don't have that pet, then they really don't want to go out. And so it allows you to see the bigger picture for that individual. That why question allows you to dig deeper or dive deeper into what exactly that individual is trying to express to the care manager. And in that case, it was basically the individual wanted to go out in the community more often. And the only way that they could see themselves doing that is by getting a dog, for therapeutic purposes. So that why question is very important when you're completing the IM assessment so you could catch that person's actual dreams. Personal outcome goals should really focus on what the individual would like to achieve in the near future. So I like to tell people, think about when you were younger, what you said, I want to be a doctor when I grow up, or I want to be, a basketball player in the NBA. A lot of us are not those things, but you want to try to figure out what are those things now for that individual and focus and zero in on that. Because I can tell you this, when I was younger, I didn't say when I grow up, I want to learn how to tie my shoelaces. I wanted to be a doctor. I didn't become a doctor. I became a trainer, which I love a lot better. But these are the things that you need to focus on is exactly, is this, what is meaningful to that person, and you want to zero in on that. So speaking of personal outcome measures, personal outcome measures are a powerful tool that was developed by the Council on Quality Leadership to ensure supports and services are truly person-centered. There are 21 POMs that are used to understand the presence, importance, and achievement of outcomes involving choice, health, safety, social capital, relationships, rights, goals, dreams, employment, and more. So overall picture of that person's quality of life. So the insight gained can then be used to inform a person-centered life plan and at an aggregate level influence an organization's strategic plan. For decades, they've been effective data set for valid and reliable measurement of individual quality of life. And this is what the Council of Quality Leadership has developed and it's attached to the IM assessment. Sorry. All right. So the IM assessment is a tool that incorporates these 21 POMs, and I have taken a photo from the Council of Quality Leadership's website and included all of the 21 POMs that are indicated in the IM assessment. And so if you could see, the language is there as is. There is no way that we are able to change this language because it comes straight from the Council of Quality Leadership. And so when you select a certain goal within the IM assessment, it automatically attaches that goal that that individual is trying to achieve to one of these 21 POMs, whether it's my human security, my community, my relationships, my choices, and my goals. And you could look, Google personal outcome measures and figure out more information. There are trainers who provide the training for the POMs or personal outcome measures training, and you should seek to attend those trainings to learn more about personal outcome measures and the Council on Quality Leadership. So in the IM assessment, there are 4 different areas where POMs are generated for the individual, and those include where I live, where I work, where I learn, and my happiness, because these are 4 major components of quality for that individual, focusing on, are they happy of their living situation? Are they happy with their work situation, whether it's pre-vocational, competitive employment, or supported employment? Where I learn, if they do attend school, are they happy with their schooling, or do they want to further their education? And then my happiness contains a lot of the other things that they want to achieve in their life. So just a flashback to previous trainings from the staff action trainings and several trainings, what goals and supports are, and understanding goals and supports. So goals are created when you teach a person a skill to help them achieve a desired outcome that they have set for themselves. So it's a teaching component, okay? And ensuring that you're teaching that individual something of value to them. Supports are created when you provide assistance to the person to maintain a skill or maintain what they already have. All right. So in Section 2 and Section 3, you'll see of the life plan, you'll see a slight difference on what goals and supports may be. Okay. And so Section 2 contains the POMs, the personal outcome measured goals, and so goals would focus on what the individual's dreams, goals, personal achievements that they would like to accomplish within the next year. So it has to be within that next life plan year, within the life plan year. Supports are the activities that the individual may already be involved in, that they already enjoy and would like to continue to be supported in and enjoying. And so it could be, you know, they're in a basketball league, or they're taking part in rec activity in the local community center, things of that nature. So you would support that person with that aspect because they already have it, okay? Section 3 contains individual safeguards and individual plan of protection. So right here, you would see the goals that would the person needs to learn in order to achieve their overall outcomes. So this is where you would help the person learn, teaching them ADL skills or safety skills in the community. The tying the laces would probably fall under that because it's a goal so the person can learn in order for them to achieve their outcomes. And then supports, you would want to think of supports here are, you know, supporting the individual to maintain or improve what they have already achieved. So such things as work skills, you're helping the person safeguard their job. You want to support them with their diet. You want to provide reminders to that person to brush their hair or brush their teeth. And so this is where you would see those type of goals in the life plan in Section 3. And so that's why you see certain things will fall under Section 2 and certain things will fall under Section 3. And we'll go into more detail with that, especially with the where I work section. So let's start off with where I live. Where I live is another place where a POM it could generate a goal. And so if an individual likes where they live and they still look to improve or change their living situation, as we all like to change our living situation from time to time, the care manager would click yes, and there would be a drop down asking how soon is this change wanted. okay? And so the care manager has to determine with that individual when would they like to change that living situation. Important detail is that if the person is not looking to make a change within the next year, then that drop down would not be made available. So if they select, if you can see, it says as soon as possible, in 1 year, in 3 years, or in the future. So if they was to select in 3 years, it would not show that drop down that you see in the bottom. That drop down would only become available when they click within 1 year. Why is this? Is because we want to focus on the person's achievements or goals for the within the life plan year. And so when you click 1 year or as soon as possible, that drop down comes out and you focus on what's more important to that person right now during the life plan year. And so you're able to create a goal from that, and that would come out as a POM in the life plan. So where I work is a place where a lot of folks have some trouble with because they don't understand why certain things show up either in Section 2 or Section 3. So we try to break it down here for you a bit more. So if an individual already has a job, whether it's competitive employment, pre-vocational, supported employment, the care manager will select yes for this option, as the person may need to improve or maintain their current work skills. Like I said earlier, we are trying to help them safeguard something that they already have, okay? So when you click yes, this drop down comes down, and you could determine with that individual what part of their work skills they need to improve on, whether it's work skills or work habits, travel training, provide an assessment of work skills, safety skills, or teach them social skills because maybe they need to improve socially at their work site. And so, again, this would end up in Section 3 of the life plan because you're supporting this person with a job that they already have. Now, if they wanted to change in their work situation, then that's when you would see the work aspect shift to Section 2 of the life plan, because now you're helping this person achieve something, whether it's they want to make more money or they want to retire, and I think I have it on the next slide. We'll go over it again. But if the person wants to change within the next 2 years, you won't see that drop down, same as where I live. But if it's going to happen within a year or as soon as possible, then that drop down would come down where you can make a POM connected goal for that individual. Again, the life plan is a living document, so they both will change as the person changes. And so anytime the person wants to change as far as work, then you would see a change and where certain things end up in the life plan. So again, right here, go in Section 2 and go on Section 3. So in goals in Section 2 would be basically the person wants a job because they're unemployed, they want a new job, or they want to change SENT providers or pre-vocational providers, they want more money, or they want to retire. Whereas goals in Section 3, they already have a job and they want to maintain their work skills, or they want to improve their work skills. So that's what will decide where in the life plan that specific goal will fall. All right. If I already have something, then all you can do is support me in what I have already. But if I'm trying to achieve something, then that's setting out something that I could work towards and achieve together with within the life plan. All right. So moving on to where I learned, the same thing holds true here as it did in where I live and where I work. Whereas if you want a change, you would click yes. If you click no, then this drop down would not be made available. So when you click yes, if the person is in school and they want to change school, or they want to, go to go to college or take classes, whether it's driver's ed or whatever it might be, then you would click this here. And so I want this change, you would click as soon as possible or within a year, so that that drop down comes down and you could select one of those options there, including other, to detail what exactly this person wants to work on as far as learning. And then the fourth section of the plan is My Happiness. So the care manager is able to plug in POM-connected goals that the individual would like to work on or achieve outside of the other three sections of where I live, where I work, and where I learn. So this here you could include that the person wants to get a girlfriend. They want to go out more. They want to go on vacation. They want to spend more time with mom and dad, or they want to improve their current relationships that they have with other folks. They want to buy or drive a car. They want to become a self-advocate. They want to lose weight, to look differently, and we're going to go into that a little bit more on the differences of wanting to be healthy. So looks versus health, okay? So there's a difference between looks and health. So if an individual wants to exercise, we have the summer coming up. Everybody's getting ready with their summer bodies, right? And so the person who wants to exercise to enhance their physical appearance so they could, look great on the beach, then that would be something that would end up in Section 2 of the life plan because that's something that they're trying to achieve. But if that individual is participating in an exercise routine because the doctor said so, or because they're health-wise, they need to improve their health because they might be pre-diabetic or something of that nature, then that would end up in Section 3 of the life plan, since we're trying to support this person with their health and to stay healthy. So that's the difference, wanting something for yourself versus something that we need to support you in so you could function on a day-to-day basis. Talking a little bit about safeguards in the life plan. So again, as we said earlier, all safeguards must be included when completing the IM assessment because the life plan is the overarching document for that person's safeguards, no matter how many providers they may have. Information on the safeguards should be collected by the care manager, and you could get that information from either the plan team members. I like to say, you want to go to the folks who are with that person day to day, whether it's family or whether it's a ComHab worker, for example. I know I did ComHab for many years, and I could tell you a lot more about that individual than their actual family did. And so it's important to be able to reach out to those folks who know that individual best, and they could give you an objective and full picture of that person's overall safeguards. And we understand also that an individual's safeguards may vary depending on the environment that they are in, and some of this information might be different from one provider to the next. I remember in my time as a residence manager, there was an individual in his home, and at home he had no issues. His safeguards he was not, somebody that we needed to keep eyes on as much as other individuals because he was pretty independent in home. But at day program, his safeguards were very different because he thought he was Mike Tyson at program. And so it was significantly on with the safeguards that we had to put in place between the home and the day program. And so keep in mind that these changes cannot be done within the IM assessment, as the IM assessment only allows us to reflect the person's overall safeguards, but the care manager can customize safeguards for each provider within that life plan once that IM assessment has been completed and transferred over into the system. They can personalize and customize that safeguard for each provider as necessary. Supervision is another major component in the IM assessment. There are 3 different areas where the assessment focuses on supervision, and that would be at home, in the community, and overnight. So you will see in the next slide here, when you're looking at home, the person could be left alone, all right? If the technology allows you, to click unlimited supervision, and that will still show up in that person's life plan. So you click yes, for instance, for I can be left home alone, and in the duration you select whichever one is appropriate for that specific individual. And so I'm going to talk about a key thing in a second about that. So right here, I can be left alone. If you click no for that selection, then it gives you a whole nother drop down. Does this person need supervision when they're at home? And when you click yes, it gives you another drop down there, and it tells you one-to-one at all times, eyes on at all times, frequent checks within 30 minutes, occasional checks more than 30 minutes, and complete these checks with a charting if that's necessary for that individual. So the overarching supervision would be the selected, determined on the person's overall needs, okay? And so with that being said, we wanted to talk about the supervision language because we know the language is quite different and maybe confusing to some providers where they might see eyes at all times and they think that they have to have a staff person following this person all over the place. So it's quite different. where the assessment, as you can see there, these are the options: one-to-one at all times, eyes on at all times, frequent checks less than 30 minutes, occasional checks more than 30 minutes, and again, the charting. So one-to-one at all times indicates this person does need a one-to-one, and so that individual might need support staff with them, providing close supervision to them at all times. Eyes on at all times would be the old school line of sight supervision, that you know where the individual is and they're in your line of sight. And frequent checks is self-explanatory, that you have checked with them within 30 minutes, and occasional checks would be checked with them after 30 minutes. All right, so the same options are available for supervision in the community with the addition of supervision in a vehicle. All right, so you could indicate there that the person can never be left unattended in the vehicle as far as supervision in the community. If the individual needs supervision during the night, there are multiple options depending on that person's needs, as you can see there. If they need bed checks during the night or every 2 hours, complete checks every hour, you would select whatever is appropriate for that specific individual. Section 3 of the Life Plan will include other safeguards and supports needed to achieve their personal outcomes overall. These, again, can be in the form of a goal or support. So it could be a G or an S. So you have to understand that in Section 3, there can be, I know people see safeguards and they just think safety. Again, we're trying to safeguard this person overall with these other things and supporting them where needed. So the following categories are found in Section 3. And so anything about nutrition, again, if it has to do, as we mentioned previously, with a doctor's recommendation, you would see that there. Any vision, they need support with their vision. Mobility, this person needs a cane or they need support when walking. That would be indicated there. Any toileting needs, personal hygiene, daily living, any durable medical equipment, and any safety plans. And with that, talking about safety plans, again, we talk about evacuation. Evacuation is one of the safety plans that's indicated in Section 3. And so the care manager will indicate what level of support that individual generally needs in the event of emergency, such as a fire, and indicate what DMEs are necessary, if necessary, to support that individual during an emergency. So one of the things I wanted to talk about.
I'm just going to pause you for 1 second. We're getting some background noise. We are going to unmute and remute everyone. So just bear with us for 1 second. So we're still getting some background noise. If you can mute your lines on your end, that would be great. Thank you.
Thanks. And so in evacuation, evacuate an emergency, these are the options that are made available for the care manager to select for the individual. So one important thing about evacuation, if you're indicating that an individual can stay at home unlimited or up to 8 hours at home, there's no reason why this person would need physical assistance to exit. It wouldn't make sense. So if the person needs physical assistance to exit or continuous verbal prompts to exit, then this person should not be able to stay at home alone at any time, because that means if there's a fire emergency, this person is not capable of exiting on their own. So that's one thing that you should look out for when our care managers do look out for when completing IM assessment, is making sure everything makes sense. The safeguards have to make sense. For instance, we're not going to have a day hab doing overnight bed checks, things of that nature. So everything has to make sense. And so evacuation has to make sense when it comes to leaving the person at home as well. Okay? Calling for help. The care manager must indicate whether or not the individuals are able to call emergency services in the event of emergency. Again, safeguards must be in place for any individual living in a certified setting, such as an IRA. That requires a backup plan or necessary DME, and it must be indicated in their staff action plan. For individuals in a natural support setting, such as, they're living with their family or they're living independently, the care manager would be responsible for developing a safety plan for this individual in the event of an emergency. So we want to take some time just to show you the assessment itself. And so, all right. And so here you're looking at the actual IM assessment tool, and you see all of the different sections here. Again, this could take hours to go through because it's very, very detailed and, touching on the person's overall health, social needs, and personal needs. And so the section I wanted to show you is the Where I Work section, again, where I was saying certain things may not show up. So right here I want to improve or maintain my work skills. If you click no, then there is no other option here. When you click yes, there's a drop down that comes down. What can we do to help this individual improve their work skills? Do we need to teach them work skills or work habits? And you would select something here. And you'll notice I click these two here. When we go down to there's a preview. There's a preview. If you go to IPOP section, you'll see it shows up here. I want to improve or maintain my work skills, and this is automatically in there under Teach Work Skills and Teach Work Habits. When you go back to Where I Work, I want to change my work situation. If you click no, then there's nothing else that's going to appear there. But once I click yes, another drop down comes down like we showed you before, and then it says, when does this person want to change their work skills? Okay, they want to make more money. How soon is it that they want to make more money? Usually it's as soon as possible, right? Anytime somebody wants to make more money, or if they want to retire. Let's say this person wants to retire within the next 3 years. So if I click 3 years here, nothing will come up because this is not an immediate need. This is not important right now. It's not going to be anything that we could do within that life plan year so much. But if I click within 1 year, you would see this drop down comes down, and then to retire, you could select that. Once you select to retire, and it gives you these options where you could, click other and whatever you need to do, you could click make it a goal support as needed for depending on what support you're going to be giving that individual. And so these are the options here. So if I click, let's say, I'm just clicking anything just to show you how it shows up here. When we go down to the palms, it will show right here. And you see this right here in blue is the palm, right, from the Council on Quality Leadership. And then this is to earn more money. And then here you can see other, whatever we type in there would end up there. And, it's H, public transportation. All right, so again, the blue would be the palm. And the palms, we do not write those words. These are the 21 palms that are automatically indicated from the Council on Quality Leadership. And then the grays would be the goals that we select, as you saw me select it. And then whatever. Okay.
We're going to try this one more time to remute everybody.
All right, so I'll show you one more thing here before we end this overview. Let's say something as far as toileting. If the person is totally independent in this area, you click yes. If you click no, then it gives you certain options, and you would select whatever is appropriate for that individual. If none of it is appropriate, then they would not check any of these. I would like assistance with the toileting. If they do need assistance, they would click yes. And here, provide schedule reminders maybe. And when you go down and you look at the IPOP safety plan review, and again, this is section 3 of the life plan, you would see some of this stuff in here. right? And so that's the basic of the IM assessment. Again, if we was to go through every single section here, it would take quite some time, but we wanted to just give you a general idea of those major components as far as the POMs and why certain things generate through different sections of the life plan as they do.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I think this was very useful and provided a lot of good insight into the function of the tool. We're going to take a moment to mute and review the questions that have been added, and with the remaining time, we'll answer questions that we're able to answer. Please note that, as I had said earlier, if your questions aren't answered, to follow up with either the CCO that you're working with and follow up with CCO leadership with questions that maybe can't be answered directly by a care manager. And also, we do review these questions to see some of the areas of need for future presentations. We'll be back in one moment.
Gì có dầu màu lên.
Okay, so we are back. We're going to answer some questions. I'd just like to ask once more for folks using phones or computers, if you could mute your line. For some reason, we're background sound, so that would be great. And with that, we will get to your questions now.
Thanks, everybody. We did get a lot of great questions. One of the questions that we did receive specifically about the IAM tool that Jeff is going to answer is, what does supportive routine in the yellow bubble mean?
So supportive routines it basically breaks down certain things that the person would like. For instance,
once again, we're hearing a lot of background noise. Sounds like someone might be outside or in a car or on a cell phone. If you can mute your line, that would be helpful.
Done all we can on our end.
I'm going to try one more time to unmute and mute the participants to see if we can hear you. No. Right away, it's back. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. All right. So supportive routines, for example, you know, when you wake up in the morning, how do you want to wake up? Do you want to be woken up by a staff person or a family member? Do you want an alarm? Or do you want to be woken up by music? So supportive routines basically, and this is very beneficial when somebody, let's say, is getting ready to move into a certified home or into a new environment. It tells you basically what the person prefers, you know, throughout, you know, what are different aspects like waking up or, you know, going out or things of that nature.
Thanks, Jeffy. And this is Angie Francis from OPWDD, and I'd just like to overall answer some of, we received questions along the same kind of lines, so I'm going to kind of bulk them together and not ask the question specifically, but just provide you with some additional information. Let me first say that the IAM tool was not developed by OPWDD, and nor does OPWDD own that tool. So if you would like to find out more information about the specific questions or the background programmatic aspects of it, you would have to contact those developers directly. Secondly, there were lots of questions about or statements about completing the IAM tool and maybe some of the inaccuracies or information that's gathered in the tool, but then at the life plan meeting, providers are, kind of saying something different. I can't express enough that everything that we do with individuals that we support is done through a person-centered process. So when you complete the IAM tool, that should be treated as a person-centered planning tool. If you get to a meeting where the providers have different information or different thoughts about those questions, then you should then re-engage in that person-centered planning practices and make sure that the documents accurately reflect the individual, their needs, their strengths, their wants. So, treat the IAM as a person-centered planning tool that it is, and the life plan document really needs to reflect the accurate information about the individual. If you need to go back and update the IAM tool, then you follow the guidance of your CCO on how to do that. One of the other questions or lines of questioning that we saw was about the differences between goals, supports, and tasks. And I know that this question comes up a lot, and we've shared information several times, but I'd just like to be clear that a goal is something that you teach, right? Example, you teach the person to take public transportation. A support is something you provide. It's a support. So, for example, you provide diet counseling for healthy food selections. A task is a one-time activity. So they could take on various, items, but they don't meet the definition of habilitation because they're not a goal or a support. Again, it's just that one-time activity. For example, taking a person to view different types of apartments. That would be a task. So I just wanted to reiterate that because I know that there was some back and forth in the Q&A, and I wanted to make sure that people were receiving the information from an OPWDD perspective on exactly what goals, supports, and tasks are. Another area that there was a lot of questions about was safeguards. And somebody had asked or commented that the IAM tool language and the language of OPWDD don't completely align. Regulations for OPWDD do not specifically define these safeguard levels, so the guidance to care managers, CCOs, and providers has been that in the life plan and in the IAM tool, you'll use the language that's in the IAM tool, and that sets the minimum. So, for example, if it says in the life plan that you need to check on Angie every 15 minutes, that's the overarching, because the life plan is that overarching plan. Now, if the provider who works with Angie actually goes in and checks on her every 5 minutes, your staff action plan is going to have the overarching that, Angie needs supervision or, periodic checks every 15 minutes. And then in the staff action plan, you'll go into that detail of what you do as a provider and say, when Angie is in the setting, we, do a periodic check every 5 minutes. So that's where that further detail goes. So think about the safeguards in the life plan, again, as those high overarching. but they have to be the minimum, right? So you couldn't contradict one another in those two plans. I'm just taking a quick look here to make sure that I covered everything.
Just going to mute for 1 second.
And one other question that we received was about individuals receiving basic care management. So for individuals who are receiving basic care management, you really need to work with your CCO directly. The guidance and the expectations that they have for the completion of the IAM tool and what is in the life plan. What needs to be in a life plan from a minimum standard for individuals receiving basic is in the CCO Health Home Policy Manual, but in regards to the IAM tool, you really need to work with your training department because I believe that CCOs are taking various approaches to this. So I just wanted to make sure that we got that. We don't get a lot of questions about basics, so thank you.
Okay, we'll mute for 1 moment.
Say again.
So I guess there's been some more questions that came in specific to when people do not come to agreement with the information that is being gathered and documented. Each CCO does have a dispute resolution process that needs to be followed. Additionally, OPWDD will be issuing guidance in the overarching ADM that is being revised. And for those of you who follow all of our WebExes and conferences, you know that we're working very hard to get that out and expect it to be out very soon. But within that revised ADM, there will be guidance and information about the dispute resolution process. Until that ADM is released, you need to work within the CCO on your dispute resolution. And in rare instances where resolution cannot be met at this time, you can contact your OPWDD regional office care coordination support liaison who can help provide you some assistance as well. And, also, if there is, we've been hearing that through the IAM tool, sometimes there are a lot of goals and supports that are generated. There is a question and answer document that will be released very soon, but we have provided verbal guidance on this, so I'll just repeat that. In those situations, again, when you get to that life plan review meeting, it's very person-centered. So as you go through those goals and supports that were generated in the IAM tool, that whole care planning team should be talking about, are these all of the goals? Are these the goals? And, for somebody to have 45 goals doesn't make sense. An individual's not going to be able to achieve that. Providers aren't going to be able to help the individual achieve that. So it's really having that conversation about what's important to me right now in the next 6 months, the next year, and what do I want to work on right now, and tabling those other things for the future and to revisit. So if all of those goals and supports come over on the life plan, they do not have to be documented in the life plan, but again, it needs to be this conversation and agreement. And the care manager will, they're responsible for tracking and working with the individual and checking in with them. So they'll keep an eye on those things and looping the care planning team in as well.
Great, thank you so much, Angie. We just want to take the time to thank Tri-County for providing us with this information and the demonstration today to be able to give people a view into the IAM tool to be better equipped for the life planning process. We hope that it's helpful. We have definitely heard that this was a need, so we hope that the information that was shared today has provided some insight into things. I'm sure it has generated more questions. That's how this process typically works, so we ask that you continue to follow up with your agencies, with your care planning teams, to continue to work at this, to be able to create useful, person-centered plans for people. So again, thank you to everyone that took the time to attend today. These materials will be posted to the OPWDD website as well as with the recording. We'll have that up in a few days and share that through the advisory with our announcement of the registration for our next session. Have a great afternoon.